Matt Ryan just made another great point. Over 200 million people a day look at the Twitter trends. He pulled up those numbers. Out on your Twitter accounts, tell everybody, go watch the Obama deception. Send them to the 6 million plus view version on YouTube. Do the same thing with Facebook. Please, everybody on your Facebook, post at the top and say, watch the Obama deception, and post the video and send it out to your friends. This is the power of the alternative media. Let's do it. Google, Yahoo, Twitter, Facebook. Those are the keys. Let's do it together. Let's go ahead and talk to TJ in Minnesota. You're on the air, TJ. Thanks for holding.
Alex, can you hear me?
I can, TJ.
Alex Emery Jones, you're quite a fireball today. Say, I got a question and a suggestion and a comment. I hope you'll bear with me for all three. The question is, what's the name of your French bulldog?
His name is Captain.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And the suggestion is that you, in compliance with all your listeners, realize that the world is grossly underpopulated because these bastardos have been killing people, and you don't have to use rocket science or Twitter or Google.
Well, if you fly in an
anything.
airplane in any direction, you see almost no towns, roads, or civilization. Humans have this distortion because we're in megacities, right at 90% in the Western world and Asia, live in the cities. So we're all congregated together, and so we have this illusion that the world is overpopulated. The globalists don't care about the environment. They're genetic engineering and cross-species chimeras. That is the #1 threat, according to all the scientists I've interviewed and the literature I've read. I mean, the globalists could care less about the environment. They're playing God. Go ahead, make your point.
Well, my point is, you and I are in total, complete, 190% agreement with that. And we need a guest on your show that's a real scientist or a real statistician that can tell you about the population of the United States. Albert Lee, Minnesota, which is a Mexican city long before illegal immigration, they cannot hold their population because of depopulation, because of Roundup Ready corn, soybeans, and a myriad of other diabolical things that the enemy uses against us. And also, I was waiting for you to hit a talk point that I could really relate to. And you mentioned the United Arab Emirates, and I'll tell you about them. I knew Sheikh Zayed Al Nahyan, and I knew his wife and his court, and I was part of his entourage at one point in time in my military history and my civilian history. And those people are not warfaring, they're pro-life, and I don't believe that any progeny of the United Arab Emirates wants to make war with anybody.
Well, you know, they are one branch of Islam, and they historically don't like the Shiite Iran. And so the Saudi Arabian government has been making pro-war noises. I know that's a separate country, but it borders the UAE, if my geography is correct. That's correct, isn't it?
UAE is different than Saudi. And
No, I know, but I'm saying it borders it.
I know that.
Well, no, I know you know that. I'm just going from memory here. It's there south of it. It's one of the Emirates.
That's like Iowa to Minnesota, and they're two different cultures.
No, sir, listen. I don't claim to be an expert on the United Arab Emirates. I was reading Der Spiegel, UAE ambassador says country may back a U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran. I defer to your knowledge.
But it's not by their own volition entirely. It's due to this empire, this diabolical empire that was not won back in 1400 or whatever in England. But anyhow,
well, the UAE is what, on the eastern shore of Saudi Arabia, north of Oman. It is right there on the Persian Gulf. And so that's why they are a little paranoid about Iran having a nuke.
Well, for many sovereign generations, they were the citadel of wisdom and peace and getting along with everybody.
No, I know it's a big trading post, very wealthy, and developed a lot of science there. And I'm just reading what the ambassador said, but let's pray that's the case, because I don't want World War III to start. I appreciate your call, and everybody knows my French Bulldog's name. But good to hear from you, TJ. Okay, I'm going to go to Eddie, Tim, Ronnie, Angel Eyes. Is that from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Oh, look at the little angel eyes. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Monday through Friday, we're here, folks, kicking off at 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon Eastern. Back Sundays, 4 to 6 p.m. with a live transmission. We'll be live this Sunday. Okay, I want to get into the BP news and a lot more coming up, but let's continue with your calls right now. Eddie in Wisconsin, welcome.
Hey, Alex, thank you for taking my call. Hey, I was watching the History Channel today, and it's totally brainwashing propaganda. They didn't mention anything about Timothy McVeigh working for the FBI. They made it look like, that the Patriot movement is just another, we're a bunch of, according to them, we're just a bunch of neo-Nazis, which it's not true. That's not true at all.
I mean, what do you expect? That's why cable television and broadcast TV are literally dying, because people understand it's a bunch of propaganda and brainwashing.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, believe it or not, Nazi Germany, they did that kind of propaganda. It's like, well, these Jews are planning to commit acts of terrorism. We better shut them down. They are threatening the fear.
That's exactly what the Soviets and Pol Pot and everybody else did. We know what we're seeing historically. We know this is tyranny.
Yep. And also, now you covered how the elite funded Adolf Hitler and their Nazi war machine, but could you also talk about, how the Rockefellers also funded the Imperial Japanese, because they were as sadistic as the Nazis, especially in the rape of Nanking. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I have. Well, that's actually true. I mean, the Rockefellers were one of the most wealthy families on the earth 110 years ago, and they did fund the war machine of the Japanese, and we did send the U.S. military over there to train the Japanese, and then green-lighted them to have a war with Russia. They, of course, were our ally in World War I. Then they got double-crossed in the late 1930s and then into 41. And I'm not saying the Imperial Japanese were good. They were bad. The American people were very moral. So were the Japanese. But our rulers were evil. And thousands of U.S. troops went into, quote, private military arms funded by the U.S. government, hundreds of aircraft, the best-known Flying Tigers, and were attacking the Japanese all over Asia, but predominantly in China. And the Japanese did public protest. Their embassy protested for several years. Then there was an oil embargo against Japan. And the U.S. was making noises about attacking Japanese-controlled countries. And so Japan decided to do a sneak attack to knock out our Pacific Fleet. Their midget submarines, 4 of them, attacked that morning, 2 hours before. They launched the attack 2 hours before. One got into the harbor, another ran into reefs about a mile away from the harbor, another got off course and came up on land, and another was sunk, and that's CNN. In fact, guys, search this. I said do this a few days ago. I don't know if you saw it. CNN.com, did United States start Pearl Harbor? Or did the United States attack Japan first? And then they show an image of the submarine on the bottom and say the U.S. sunk this midget submarine, I think they said an hour and a half before. I mean, the point is the Japanese were coming to attack, but when subs were attacking, the Navy was ordered to stand down still because they wanted that full image of dead sailors and airmen and Marines. But I appreciate your call. I covered that in my film Terror Storm. In Terror Storm, we have the CNN article. But see, I already knew this. As a child, we would come and visit my grandparents here in Austin. My mother's from Austin. And we would, I remember when I was probably 10 years old, because I loved war museums, they took me to the Pacific War Museum. It's the official war museum. It's gotten a lot bigger than it was then. It was the old home of Admiral Nimitz, landlocked in Fredericksburg, Texas, 200 miles from the coast. And it was a hotel. And the building, it's a big building, is shaped like the bow of a ship sticking out on Main Street there. And now it's the George Herbert Walker Bush Pacific U.S. Museum. That is the museum for the Pacific War in the U.S. And they've got one of the midget subs, and it was there when I was a kid, and hidden in plain view. They didn't point out that we attacked the Japanese. It just said that morning they sunk this Japanese sub and 3 others. And you can go there and see one of the subs that was attacking or coming into attack and got sunk, but still Pearl Harbor was ordered to stand down. I mean, they just hide the treason in plain view. Does that take away from the heroism of the people that fought off the Japanese attack or those that died on the battleships? No. The point is the truth is the truth is the truth is the truth is the truth, and it's now declassified. The U.S. had broken the Japanese purple and blue code and knew exactly what they were going to do weeks before.